So do you like peanut butter? Do you like...
Yeah, we understand they're good together, Josh.
But exactly why would you want to use them together at the same time? So if you guys are looking for a new team to utilize your Furina with, you can do this one. I guarantee it's also one of the most flexible teams of all time. Furina's gonna be draining the HP of everyone in your party with her own elemental skill, her Oisa form, doing damage, applying Hydro while off the field. Not only is she gonna be draining health this way, but because she's draining health, she's also gonna be building up fanfare stacks from her elemental burst, giving bonus damage to everyone in your party, including herself. We're also gonna get bonus healing from this fanfare stack conversion as well. So if a character that's draining HP from your party, doing damage off field, and also, well, boosting up your party's effectiveness overall. We're gonna have Noelle as our on-field driver, healer, damage dealer, shielder, whatever it is you want to do, this maid's gonna do it. Healing from breastplate, also having the cooldown reduction from nice and clean, as she's gonna be your on-field driver, also gonna be able to do a decent amount of damage with sweeping time as the activation skill, and it's gonna have a 15-second duration, 15-second cooldown, 60 energy cost. Does that sound familiar to anyone here? These two characters pair well together because they kind of counter the downsides of each other. Noelle's main three options for weapon selection is still going to be very good. You have access to the white blind with the refinement rank as the craftable option. This is going to be probably your first weapon of choice when you go to work on your Noelle, giving a stacking attack in defense, gives her both offensive as well as healing capability, and the defense stacking here works well with your Noelle because it gives her additional damage once you activate your sweeping time elemental burst. After that, you have the battle pass option, which is going to be none other than everyone's favorite weapon, the serpent spine, which will make you take more damage, but you can block that damage with your Noelle shield, preventing you from losing stacks. It has crit rate on it, making Noelle even easier to build, and it gives you a stacking damage buff. And if you pick up multiple versions of the serpent spine from the battle pass, you can increase the refinement rank of this to get up to 50% bonus damage, which is a significant damage increase for most Noelles out there. You also have access to the big pull option, which is the Red Horn Stone Thresher. You could still gain access to this as a free-to-play player. You just have to go ahead and get your weapon off of the weapon banner. When this one reruns, it's usually reran with Arataki Ito. This is going to be by far the best DPS option for any Noelle out there, as it gives a whopping big damage bonus to crit damage, and it also is going to give you increased defense, which will give you damage bonus, and the ability on it as well boosts your normal and charge attack damage based off of your defense on top of that. This is the premier damage weapon that you can have on your Noelle. There is going to be another weapon we want to talk about here, which is the Favonius Great Sword. This is a fantastic supportive option for Noelle in a Furina team. It's going to help generate elemental energy for Noelle herself, as well as Furina and anyone else in your party. It also is going to work very well with the weapon and artifact setup that you can utilize on your Noelle with Furina in the party, which is what we're going to be talking about right now. Let's just jump into comparing the sets. If you look at the Hunter set, the two pieces will give normal and charge attack damage plus 15%. And a lot of Noelle's damage as a driver is coming from her on-field normal and charge attacks, so this is very useful to us. The four piece is going to give us 12% crit rate every time our HP either increases or decreases, and this is the big reason why you want to be using this set only with Furina. Maximum stacks, achieving 36% crit chance for your Noelle. Opulent Dreams, however, is a little bit of a different beast. The two piece gives us 30% defense, whereas the four piece at maximum stacks, either off the battlefield or doing geo damage on the battlefield, is going to give you another 24% defense as well as 24% geo damage. So the benefits of both of the sets for the four piece of Opulent Dreams, we have 54% defense and 24% geo damage versus 15% normal and charge attack, as well as 36% crit chance. If we take a look at the damage percent bonus, one of them is going to give us 24% geo damage. This affects everything from the constellation of Noelle's shield popping and doing damage to the activation of her elemental burst, as well as her normal and charge attacks afterwards, as those are also, you've guessed it, geo damage. Whereas two-piece Hunter is just giving us 15% normal and charge attack damage. As this isn't geo damage, it won't affect the damage of our constellation shield pop. It also won't affect the damage of the activation of our elemental burst. However, it still will buff up all of the normal and all of the charge attacks you're going to be doing during sweeping time. So how much are we losing from the defense percent of 54%? Well, Noelle's base defense is 799, so you're going to be losing 54% of this. And this is going to equate to you losing about 431, 432 defense on your Noelle. But you're also going to lose attack as well, because if your sweeping time is talent level 13 and you are also Constellation 6, you have 135% of your defense to your attack, meaning that this 431 defense that you're losing from not having access to that 54% defense from the Opulent Dreams set bonus is also going to cost you 582 attack. And if you're not Constellation 5, you're even lower than that, or you're not even talent level 10 on your sweeping time yet, it's going to be even lower than that. You're going to be looking at losing approximately around 300 or so attack on your Noelle from the loss of your defense bonus from Opulent Dreams. Whereas the 4-piece bonus of the Marchuse Hunter set, sure, you're not going to have access to the 2 and 4-piece bonus of Opulent Dreams. You're going to be losing this defense, losing this attack, but you're going to be gaining this 36% crit rate increase, which means, yeah, the highest amount of damage you'll do per hit on the Hunter set is going to be lower, as we're 9% damage lower from our 2-piece bonus comparison. And we're also going to be at most just under 600 attack lower compared to an Opulent Dreams build, but you're going to be insanely consistent with the amount of damage you can do. For instance, this build right here is 63.3% crit rate, but once I factor in the 36 crit chance I'll gain from the 4-piece Hunter set, I'm actually going to be going up to 99.3% crit chance, almost 100% crit rate, and I still have 222 crit damage. So which of the two sets should you prioritize, and which one should you have on your Noelle? Well, if you're more of a defensive type character, you find your shields breaking too often on your Noelle, you want some additional healing to heal your team back up from your Furina, you want those nice big Constellation 4 shield pops from the good old to be cleaned Constellation, you want the activation of your sweeping time to do just a little bit more damage, you can go ahead and stick with the Opulent Dreams set. But if you're aiming for pure DPS consistency, 4-piece Hunter is the way to go. You don't lose that much offensive damage. The damage over time is going to be much higher in the Hunter set compared to Opulent Dreams, but you do sacrifice a little bit of shield strength and a little bit of healing to get that big power. And it does feel pretty good to hear that crit defeat animation noise they added. It's so satisfying. There's also a couple of gameplay differences between the two. I know some players really dislike the stack system of Opulent Dreams, where you have to be off the field for a certain amount of time to gather your stacks. With Noelle, you get the 4th stack by getting close up to the enemy and activating your shield to do a little bit of damage and gain that 4th stack before you activate sweeping time on your elemental burst. This is a big thing people mistake and mess up with the Opulent Dream set on Noelle, because Noelle's elemental burst actually snapshots the defense that you have upon activation of sweeping time, meaning that you need to have all 4 stacks of Opulent Dreams before you even hit the button to activate sweeping time. You have to have all 4 of them, which can kind of clash with everyone's favorite weapon, Serpent Spine, because to gain Serpent Spine stacks, you have to be on the field. To gain Opulent Dream stacks, you have to be off of the field. And I've made this distinction a million times before. There is a little bit of a cheaty system you can do if you're a Serpent Spine Opulent Dreams user. +1 like down below if you didn't know this already. But you can gain Serpent Spine stacks in domains and in the Spiral Abyss before you even activate the enemies spawning. You just need to have Noelle in your first slot. So you can gain all 5 stacks of Serpent Spine, activate the boss, swap her out, and then you can gain some stacks of Opulent Dreams while you rotate through your other 3 characters, your other 3 supports, activate their skills, use their bursts, then swap back around to Noelle, activate her elemental shield, elemental burst combination, and you will have all 4 stacks of Opulent Dream and all 5 stacks of Serpent Spine. And speaking of subs, I want to make this very, 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 very clear. You got to sub to the channel. I'm kidding. No, your sub stats do matter. Don't be replacing gear that has 30 crit damage subs, a bunch of defense, nice energy recharge and crit chance, and just slop on a bunch of HP percent Marchuse Hunter stuff that you farmed up for, I don't know, Nivelette, and call it a day. That's not going to be better for you. You need to have proper sub stats. So if we're looking at equivalency and comparison between the 2 sets, if you have the same quality of rolls, the Hunter set's going to give you more damage over time due to that 36% crit chance, whereas the Opulent Dreams is going to give you slightly meatier hits, slightly harder hitting skills, but you're going to lack that 36% crit rate, so your DPS is actually going to be lower than the Hunter set. So if you're trying to clear the Spiral Abyss even faster, yeah, you might be hitting harder on Opulent Dreams, but you're actually going to be doing less damage overall during that period of time, which we know everything that's difficult in Genshin's on a timer, so DPS actually is more relevant than just having nicer, harder hitting skills every once in a while. Poppy on the Dreams is also going to give you a little bit better shielding and healing as well. But what about characters to put in your party other than these two? Another fantastic Geo support for this setup for Noelle and Furina is going to be Shalonen. Shalonen's going to offer a little bit of extra healing to your active character with her elemental burst, but most importantly, you're going to have Geo resistance as well as Hydro resistant shred for both Furina's off-field DPS damage as well as your Noelle's on-field DPS damage as well. Now, the thing you need to keep in mind when making a Noelle and Shalonen team composition is the requirements for the resistant shred for Shalonen, because that is going to be one of the most important and powerful parts of her kit, meaning that you need to have the ability to transform 2 of her source samples into either Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, or Electro. You need 2 of these element types minimum in your team. And since you're using her with Noelle, well, guess what? You can only have, 0 other Geo characters, 0 other Dendro characters, and 0 other Animo characters. Now, as we have Noelle in our team composition already, we already know her favorite friend is going to be none other than Furina, as Furina and Noelle do wonderfully together with the ability for Furina to drain everyone's HP, and Noelle and now Shalonen as well to heal your team members up. Shalonen can do this as well with her elemental burst. This team composition of these 3 are going to give you the ×2 Geo resonance bonus. So you're going to be doing more damage with your Noelle, a little bit with your Shalonen as well, getting some extra Geo damage through not just the damage percent bonus, but the Geo resistant shred as well. For a 4th character, the one that I'm going to be running in this video, there are going to be others, but the one that I like the most is obviously going to be none other than Yelan. Yelan's going to be another character who is fantastic here. Yelan's going to add additional damage bonus as well as sub DPS to our team with her Depth Clarion Dice in conjunction with her Ascension passive Adept with Ease, doing damage off the field with her elemental burst and also buffing up our active character, in this case going to be Noelle, of up to damage bonus of 50% based on the current duration of her elemental burst. This game's gonna have a ton of things for your party. You're gonna have additional damage bonus from Yelan as well as Furina, and then none other than Shalonen as well with her artifact setup, which is going to be the Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City, the 4-piece bonus here, giving up to 40% damage bonus for whatever elemental reaction is involved with the wearer of this. And lucky for us, well, the reaction we're going to be doing in this team, since it's going to be 2 Hydro and 2 Geo characters, is going to be Geo on top of Hydro for Geo crystallization, meaning it's going to be buffing up 40% damage for both Geo as well as Hydro, which is every character in our party. And in addition to that, since we are using Shalonen's addition here is going to be the resistant shred for her elemental skill, which is going to be a 36% elemental resistance decrease for both Geo as well as Hydro characters, which is once again going to be every character in our party. You can also facilitate taking even further advantage of this fanfare stack mechanic and damage bonus from Furina on top of your Noelle by equipping your Noelle in the magnificent Marchus Hunter 4-piece setup bonus. As you can see here with my stats, we are at 61.4 crit rate. However, this will go to 97 crit rate once we get access to Marchus Hunter set, which is going to be something that's going to be very easy for us to do, as our HP is going to be constantly increasing from the heals of Shalonen as well as Noelle, and decreasing from having access to Furina in our party, constantly draining HP with her elemental skill. But you have a problem. You don't actually own Yelan, so who can you put in her spot? You have several very powerful options of team members for you to use, but why were people using Yelan in the first place? Well, she does 3 big things for this team. Number 1, she's going to buff the damage that your on-field damage dealer, in this case Noelle, is going to be doing with Adept with Ease, but she also has a couple of other powerful options. Lingering Lifeline is going to provide some particles in conjunction with Favonius Warbow to suit up the energy recharge on your team members. But the most important thing a lot of people really forget is the amount of off-field damage that Depth Clarion Dice is providing in this team's setup. Because remember, we're already buffing up our damage with Furina, and we're also able to resistant shred our sub DPS as well with Shalonen. Adding another Geo character does sound like it'd be a pretty cool thing, but unless you're Constellation 2, you're not going to be able to activate this resistant shred for anything in your party, both Geo as well as other elements, meaning we're going to be needing to use either a Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, or Electro character. So what you're really looking for is a sub DPS character to add to your team that is Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, or Electro. And the first character we need to talk about is none other than Fischl. Fischl is going to be a significant source of off-field damage with her elemental skill, as well as extending the duration of Oz with her elemental burst as well. She also has Undone Be Thy Sinful Hex, which is going to be very easily procced, as electro-related elemental reactions are pretty easy to do with either crystallization from Noelle or electro charged from Furina being in the party as well. And when using Fischl in this party member slot, you don't need to build her in any specific way. Just whatever the traditional off-field best DPS Fischl setup is typically will also be better in this team. So if you choose to use Fischl in a little party like this, it's gonna look something like this.
The eternal oasis! The eternal oasis!
If 4 stars aren't really your bag and you wanted to use Yae Miko somewhere, well, let me tell you what. Yae Miko is basically official but primed up in this party. She's going to have the ability of her elemental skill to place these turrets down and have them fully buffed up by either Furina as well as Shalonen with the resistant shred and damage buffs. You can get great burst damage from her elemental burst as well when you proc this and use it while your fanfare stacks are at maximum. And just like Fischl, she's not going to require any specific build to utilize her correctly in this team composition. And honestly, this is one of my most favorite areas that I've been using Yae Miko in recently. If you want a little test run on 12.3, well, here you go.
Your coming was foretold. The eternal oasis.
And while not traditionally a sub DPS, Raiden Shogun does have the ability to do a little bit of off-field damage with her elemental skill, but she's known for her on-field time with her elemental burst, secret art, Muso Sensetsu. Raiden being your team is going to alleviate a lot of energy recharge needs on your Furina as well as your Noelle. You can trade the on-field time of Raiden Shogun during her burst with the on-field time of Noelle, because as a Noelle main, you know that you can swap Noelle freely in and out of her elemental burst form. And just like the other characters, you don't need to utilize any special build on your Raiden Shogun either. Just use a DPS Raiden Shogun with Emblem of Severed Fate, and then pick your best / favorite weapon for her to do as much damage as possible. You want a showcase of what this looks like on 12.3? Well, here you go. Another character who looks a little awkward here might be Xingling, but Xingling's been performing fantastically well in this party. Her off-field damage with her elemental skill, Global Attack, and Burst Pyronado perform pretty well here, as they're both off-field damage which don't take up field time from your Noelle. You will have that resistant shred from Shalonen, and the damage bonuses help her out a ton here as well. You can also get a tiny little attack buff for your Noelle as well from the Pepper, or you can just feed it to Xingling on top of that. And if you choose to use her in this party comp setup as well, you will also be able to do a little bit of vaporization reactions between Furina and Xingling on top of that. If you're looking for how this team might perform, well, here's a little bit of 12-3 of action for you.
Your coming was foretold. The eternal awaits at long last.
Let me know which of these team setups you saw in this video you like the most. Let me know what you've been using with this team as well. These core 3 are fantastic. Make sure to hit that sub button, and I'll see you in the next one.